What's up, everybody? Welcome back to our final edition of SSPN off-season or pre-off-season position breakdowns, Ethan. And we're ending off with the centers. Now, as we mentioned in the last Power Forwards video, potentially Victor Wembanyama could be in this mix, and obviously that throws a big asterisk in everything we say here today. But Ethan, I was watching some highlights earlier today. I was watching all the highlights that the Spurs put out of every player on the team's best plays this season. And I watched Charles Bassey, man, and I think that when it comes to Wemby banging down low and that stuff, man, I think I'm going to come out on an island now, Ethan, and I'm going to say I'm for him playing at the 4. I think y'all have probably already got that, but, I've been like, I trust what the Spurs front office does, and ultimately I will. But as of right now, before that decision has been made, I'm going to go out now and I'm going to say it. I want him to be the 4. I think that's what we should do because I just think that one, you've got two guys that have potential here in Zach Collins and Charles Bassey, but also their skill sets complement exactly what Wemby's potential biggest weaknesses could be. So we'll start off with that and then we'll get into, the individual guys specifically.
Absolutely 110% agree with you, Jude. He should play power forward. He has too many skill sets to put him at the center spot. I think that would honestly hurt what he does best, which is bring the ball up the court, show off his bag, get the in-between game, and be as productive as he possibly can, especially at his current size. I think Zach Collins and Bassey being physical presences. I know Zach is also a little skinny for a 7-footer, but that doesn't mean he's not physical. He's very aggressive. He goes for loose balls. He tries to get as many rebounds as he can, and he's a low post threat. He can back down his guy. And same can be said about Charles Bassey. I think he's maybe a little stronger, but he's a high energy guy, a lob threat, and somebody along with Zach that can kind of protect Wemby from those big fives that might potentially, try and push him around a little bit.
Absolutely. And, when it comes to Zach, the theme for us this season was his improvement in, just basically every area of his game. But one of the biggest areas we highlighted was his physicality on the interior, and specifically his interior defense, just consistently getting better throughout the season. So that's something that also, with another offseason underway, a crazy thing I saw today, Zach Collins is younger than Robert Williams. Like, that's just something that's crazy to think about. Still somebody who is not in his prime yet, maybe that could potentially even get better next season. I'm sure that's probably something the Spurs and their defense. So I'm sure that's probably, now I'm realizing it as we're talking about it, probably his main focus this offseason. So let's talk about, what we saw from him this season. Aside from that, Ethan, what were your thoughts on Zach Collins this year?
Well, he started off behind Jakob, and he was still also, this is like his first real fully healthy season with a full offseason under his belt. So there was still some rust to shake off. Early on, it felt like he got tossed around a little bit. He wasn't as physical as we thought he should be. But after that Jakob Poeltl trade, and really after the All-Star break, he turned into a completely different player. He averaged about 17 points, 8 boards, and a block on really efficient shooting from inside and out. He became one of our best offensive players, especially with the injuries that we had. It became common occurrence for us to throw the ball to him in the block and let him either go one-on-one with an array of good moves with his really classic Gonzaga big man footwork. He has a lot of moves down there where he can score with ease. He was also a pick and pop threat and a really underrated playmaker for guys that are cutting off the ball when he's in that pinch post area. So I really liked what I saw as far as improvement from him. You already touched on his low post defense. Have another full off season that's healthy under his belt. Maybe put on a little bit more weight, get a little stronger. I'm excited to see what he can do next year.
Absolutely. And, another thing I'm realizing when I'm looking at his overall stats this year, Ethan, career high from 3.
Yeah.
37.4%, the highest in his career so far. So love to see that as well. If that's something that can continue to improve, which I'm sure the Spurs are always working on that as well. I mean, these are why the things we're talking about right now is why Pop, talked to the media in the last game of the year and said he felt like he was the 5 of the future.
Yeah.
And on top of that, he's still 25 years old. Yeah, he does not turn 26 until November 19th of this year.
Yeah. And just the last point from me on Zach Collins, or for one, he lost his hesitancy as being a scorer. He was not afraid to take shots from mid-range, three-point shot, and inside. So that was great just for his confidence. But also something you don't see on the stat sheet, willing to defend his teammates, start fights,
Yes.
and always up and standing and cheering when he's on the bench.
Yes. And stands up for his guys. Like, you know, sometimes it's like, yeah, you don't want fights, but it's like whenever he does that, a lot of times it's with Michael Porter Jr., you
That's
know,
the
they're
exception.
jawing back and forth. But also he's gonna be the guy where if somebody's in a fight, he's gonna go stand in, just like
Yes.
Sohan. Like they're gonna go defend their teammates, which like you said, with the way that they stand up on the bench, it's
Yeah.
just an example of how he's a great teammate. And I also want to throw in there, Ethan. Sorry, I know you're
No,
about to
you're
say
good.
something,
You're good. You're
but
good.
his passing this year
Yes.
is another out of the post and just in general was another layer to his game that was shown this season.
Looking like a young Bill Walton. But my favorite moment from Zach is when Jeremy threw down Markieff Morris after Markieff tried to shoulder check him in that Nets
Yeah.
game. And then Jeremy tried to break up the fight. And as he's trying to break up the fight, Ben Simmons, your favorite LSU grad, grabbed onto his arm, like to try and pull Zach away from the scuffle. And Zach like grabbed Ben Simmons' arm and like picked it up and pushed it back at Ben's face. And if you my description doesn't do it justice.
No, I
Everyone
know
go
what you're
watch the
talking
clip.
about.
It is the funniest thing I've ever seen. He's like he noticed it was Ben Simmons and was like, "Go away." And,
I'm
like,
better than
shoved him
you
away
at this point.
shoved him away. Like I have more value to my team than you do to yours. It's so funny.
We've really gotten to that point, haven't
Yeah,
we?
for real, for real.
Oh my gosh, man. Any final thoughts on Zach?
I just hope he continues to avoid injuries because he has
Yeah.
proved everybody wrong time and time again, especially this past season.
Yeah, I guess that the other thing I was thinking about that I kind of forgot, things to improve on next season. I kind of mentioned it a little bit already. Just, you know, keep getting better on defense. I mean, that's really the main thing, because if he just does all the other stuff with his offensive game, I think it's just going to continue to evolve. And when you put Victor Wembanyama next to him, it's going to make his life a lot easier in a lot of ways.
For sure. Absolutely.
Now, Charles Bassey,
Chuck.
Ethan, I watched all those plays today, like I said, and you know, there were even some passes that popped off the screen. He's a San Antonio, he's a native of Nigeria, but other than that, he's a San Antonio native. Just a great story.
Mm-hmm.
We love to just take the Delaware Bluecoats' best players, and put them on our team. So, anyways, Charles Bassey, super physical. I mean, came in his first game. What NBA record did he break? It was like 10 points, 10 rebounds in like under 20 minutes. Do you remember that? Are you forgetting that?
Vaguely.
Yeah, you know, it was very early in the season. I know he was in the Fiesta jersey. I'm going to look that up as of right now, but obviously has shown a lot more skilled than I thought. Like I said, when I mentioned the passes, but really, you know, someone who can bang down low, get rebounds, catch lobs, and was just an absolute monster in the G League this season.
Yes, he was. And you were high on him from the start. I wasn't as much. I remember thinking like, oh, he's just going to be another dominant big from the G League that comes over here and is just a clumsy guy that can't hold on to the ball. And I was completely wrong. And after the All-Star break, when he really had kind of a more consistent role, he averaged 9 and 5 on efficient shooting, obviously, because he really only scores on the inside. And he has elements of KBD where he doesn't force the situation, but he allows the game to come to him offensively and gets easy baskets, putbacks, being in the right place at the right time, catching lobs, running in transition, that sort of thing. And he does have a low post game. He's shown that in the past, but that's not necessarily something the Spurs are looking to go to every night. But it's nice to know that it's a possibility. But defensively, I love his energy. He tries to block every shot, reminiscent of my long lost love, Drew Eubanks, Drew the Goat. But he has similar attributes to that.
Oh
but
my
just
gosh. Yeah.
Better athleticism and less clumsy.
He really is. Like, when you're saying this, man, he really is a more athletic Eubanks, like a little bit more skilled and a little bit more athletic, because he also showed shades of hitting some jumpers. It's not like he is not imposing people, but it's like, if you leave him wide open, he's going to make you pay sometimes. And there's going to be a lot of situations where that ends up happening just because of the nature of the other people on the court in comparison to Charles Bassey. Obviously, he is coming off the fracture of his left patellar tendon, so we hope that can heal the best that it possibly can. It was tough the way that went down. I remember watching that game with the injury, but there's a reason that they signed him to a 4-year contract. I mean, like that's and granted, it's only like $2 million each year, but it doesn't matter. They signed him to a 4-year deal. Like they obviously believe in who he can be. And I really liked what I saw from him this season. I'd kind of be repeating myself at this point, other than the shooting. So yeah, just a great season for him. I'm still trying to find that game. I can't right now, but it was something along the lines of like in under 22 minutes, he had the most points and rebounds in that period of time in an NBA debut, I believe. It might have not been his debut. It might have just been in that period of time, but it was something along those lines. I'm still trying to find it though, Ethan, because I want to help. I want to let my man Bass know. Anyways,
Chuck Bass.
But do you, while we're talking about this though, Ethan, like the stuff we're describing just ties back into what we were talking about at the beginning with these dudes' skill sets. Would just like they're just all the things that we're like worried about Wembanyama. They're not going to completely fix them, but they're going to make you feel a lot better about them.
Oh, 1,000%. 1,000%. And I think it'll be more helpful, not even during the games, but in practices. Because these are two guys that will be good opponents for Wemby as far as like getting used to the physicality that he might have to go up against every given night. Charles is obviously a lot shorter, but he's way thicker and way stronger. So that'll be an interesting matchup in the practice gym. Same with Zach, because Zach can match him a little bit with skill as well. So he can try and pick him apart in that area of the game. But yeah, super excited to see what they're able to do this season, because they both, it's a common theme, and we keep saying it. I feel like so many of our guys improved so much from game 1 to game 82 that it's hard to give them like a homework assignment, if you will,
right,
of things to work on. Because like, well, you kind of worked on that toward the end of the season, so I guess.
And there were so many individual opportunities. Not to interrupt you, but everybody, like, because when you hear that, it's like, well, how did that happen? And you're 22-60. It's like, well, because Devin only played 58 games. Jeremy only played around 60 games, and Keldon, I don't know, I forget how, it might have been a little bit more than that. But the point is all these guys took time off throughout the season. It was like you said in the last video, it was a tank. It was such a tank. But that doesn't mean that because of that, these guys kind of got opportunities to be lead guys in games, which, I mean, like, you're just basically at that point getting reps as a one, like in an NBA game.
Yeah, if everybody plays, we don't see Bassie, we don't see Champagny, we don't see Romeo at all. We don't see your favorite boy, the prodigal son. What's his name? I'm losing my train of thought. D. Barlow.
Dominic
Barlow.
The man.
The prodigal son.
Him.
That's his new nickname, I think.
Him?
Yeah, him.
Okay, good. Because that's all you should refer to him as. Anyways, Ethan, I got the tweet. I got it here. I found it while you were talking. So here we go. Charles Bassie is the second player, so not the first player. My bad. But still, the second player in NBA history to have 14 rebounds, 4 blocks, and 4 assists in less than 20 minutes. And the first this was what it was, the first player in league history to do it off the bench. I knew there was some record there, even when it opened up trying to tell me there wasn't.
Well, good stuff. Good stuff from old Chuck Bass.
Old Chuck Bass. I love it. I love that nickname from us. Anyways. All right, Ethan. Any final thoughts on the center position?
No, I think we covered it.
No, we didn't.
Gorgie Jang?
No.
Oh, okay.
Kem Birch.
Oh, Kem Birch.
I forgot about him genuinely until just right then.
keep doing you, Kem.
He is he. He's a Spur. That's what I'm gonna say.
Spur at heart for sure.
Alrighty, y'all. I really don't have literally that's all I can say about him. He's a Spur. All right, y'all. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today. Don't forget to hit that like button and that subscribe button below if you enjoyed the content and if you're excited for Wembanyama being drafted to the Spurs this Thursday. If you want to stay updated with all our content, follow us on Twitter at SSPN on YT, at Jude McLaren, and at Ethan_Quintero. You can also turn on notifications and stay locked into the community tab. We do posts on there as well. We appreciate y'all. We'll catch y'all on the next one. Go Spurs, go.